Former Yankee Jim Leyritz with Armen and Levack. Thanks to Red Wing Shoes. Normally every Wednesday. Today we're throwing them on this Friday because Jim Leyritz has had a very busy week. But, Jim, this is good because we can look at the Yankees and say they've lost 6 of their last 9. How concerned are you, Jim?
Well, you got to be very concerned right now because you're going to come up against the Mets for 3 games this weekend, turn around and go to Toronto for 3 games up there, and then, of course, Baltimore and Boston. Those might be better or easier games, but they're still, if you think about it, Boston, if they have an opportunity in a 3-game series, I was just talking about this yesterday with Johnny Damon, if I have an opportunity with 3 games left to knock the Yankees out and I'm a Red Sox manager, I'm calling a meeting and I'm telling these guys, you want to make this season a success? Let's do this. And you know what? That could be the opportunity, or that could be a possibility if they don't do pretty well these next 2 series coming up.
Jim, do you think the Mets look at it the same way? Like the rivalry between the Yankees and the Mets, are the Mets looking at this and saying, we have a chance to hurt the Yankees' playoff hopes?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's even a bigger one. The only thing that I think that's different there is the Mets have a 7-game lead. So for them, fortunately, there's no pressure on them as much as it will be for the Yankees, with a 3, being 3 back of the Jays, but being 4 up in the wild card right now is pretty comfortable. If you don't have a good series against the Mets and you don't have a good series against the Blue Jays, you may be having the wild card in jeopardy too.
Jim Leyritz, thanks to Red Wing Shoes with Armen and Levack. Jim, you've been pretty critical of Mark Teixeira, who is missing some time with that bone bruise. Turns out it's being reported that he has a fracture and is done for the year since the last time we talked. Do you have any change of opinion there?
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on what again, it's a fracture. If that's something that is something that could get worse, and that's what I was saying before. If it was just a bone bruise and you knew it couldn't get any worse, it just has to heal. Take a shot and get your butt out there, and finish the last 17 games and get ready for the playoffs. Fracture is a little bit different. Yeah, fracture is something that I know personally that can turn into a break if you're not careful. So yeah, I mean that gives him a little bit more of an out. To be able to shut it down for the season and try to be healthy for next year.
Any chance he gets Wally pipped with how great Greg Bird is playing, like next year when he's healthy?
You know what? I would think so, but there's a lot of money invested. I don't know with his injuries whether or not he's tradable and whether the Yankees would want to eat some of that. I don't think Greg Bird he's come on the scene and done a good job. I don't know if he's done a good enough job that they feel that comfortable getting rid of Teixeira, especially after the year he just had. But it's going to be interesting to see with what Bird has done, what the Yankees are going to do. I mean, I've heard it mentioned that he might start the season off in AAA, which is kind of hard to believe because he hasn't come up and done bad, and he's really done a nice job of replacing Teixeira at first base. So I would think that maybe you try to find some role for the kid. At the same time, maybe the Yankees are thinking that we'd be better off having him down playing every day to get more experience. But yeah, again, if I'm his agent, I'm looking at him going, hey, the kid came up, he saved the team from a big hole that happened. And if the Yankees make the playoffs, Greg Bird could be a real big reason why. And he has an opportunity to take advantage of this time. And if he does that, then he can pretty much, I think, write his own check.
Jim Leyritz, former 2-time World Series champion, former Yankee with Armen and Levack, 104.5 the team. Della Betances, he looks tired from our perspective. What does he look like when he's on the mound to you?
I agree, 100%. It's at that time of year. He's been used so much in so many situations. The Yankees, unfortunately, I understand a little bit of Girardi using him that much because, unfortunately, the defense and some of the games that they played have put them in the opportunity where they had a 6 or 7 run lead and the pitching couldn't hold it, and they've had to continue to use these guys. But yeah, I mean he looks tired, and again, it's not going to get any better coming down the stretch because they have to win these games, and the only thing that could really benefit the Yankees is to sweep the Mets and take 2 out of 3 from Toronto, and be in the driver's seat for the wild card. That maybe they wouldn't need to use him the last week or 10 days of the season, but I'm afraid to say that the way things have gone, they're going to be needing to use him as much as they can down the stretch.
Any hope that maybe Ivan Nova moving to the bullpen helps alleviate some of the stress on those other arms?
I think so. I think that's that was a good move. That was an opportunity that because it was just one of those things that you can see the Tommy John comeback is starting to wear on him a little bit. And if you're able to get it, bring him in for a couple outs out of the bullpen, it's that much better. So I think that'll help. Again, it's just it's a matter of the intensity that these games are going to have over the next 17. That unfortunately there's no downtime for anybody. Everybody's going to have to be on call and be ready to be used, and that's an unfortunate situation the Yankees have put themselves in.
Hey Jim, you seem sorry. Go ahead.
Well, losing the last 6 out of 9.
Yeah. Jim, you seem a little less optimistic than the last month. What about this team has been exposed in the month of August and half of September?
Well, I think the inexperience, giving these young kids a chance, giving them an opportunity. You're seeing that as things get tighter and tighter, some of that non-veteran experience is coming into play a little bit. But at the same time, I'm optimistic that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm just not optimistic that in a one game playoff that they're going to have to be able to get past that first game. Because I don't, to this point, have not seen this team that if they're against the number one starter, that they are going to be able to produce no home runs and be able to get a couple runs by manufacturing them to beat these teams. But you know what? You never know. You never know what could happen. And if you get to the playoffs, it's a whole new season. And again, it's a clean slate. And this is when you'll find out what some of these young kids, can do.
Jim, as the week went on last week, we saw Dustin Ackley, newly acquired for the Mariners, play second base ahead of the minor league superstar Rob Refsnyder. Any insight as to what might be going on there?
Well, all the comments I see Girardi and Cashman and those guys make, this guy seems to be in the doghouse for some reason. And I don't know. Like I said, those are the things that go on in the locker room, behind the scenes, that I'm not privy to, being on the outside now. But the things that I've heard them say publicly and privately, and in different things, that they're not real high on this kid. They've talked about in the paper. Joe already has said, he had the opportunity and he just didn't really take advantage of it. And at this point, that's what it's going to take for these young kids. And that part, they're true. I can remember the first time I was called up as one of the first young kids George called me in and said, if you don't do well, all your buddies down there in the minor leagues are going to be mad at you because we're not going to give them the chance. And sure enough, I got off to a pretty good start, and all these other guys got a chance. And, that's what started things. And I think that's maybe this little pre-show that we had from Refsnyder earlier this year. They saw something, or they didn't like something that I didn't see, because I liked the kid, that I didn't see. But that for some reason they're not real high on this kid. And to me, I think that's a shame, because they need to find a second baseman that's going to be part of their future.
Jim Leyritz, former Yankee with Armen and Levack. And Jim, here we go, baby. Subway Series this weekend. What is Mets and Yankees like playing in it at Citi Field, at Mets, when both teams are good? What is the atmosphere like? What's it like as a player to be on the field this weekend?
Well, unfortunately, when I was playing and doing those things, the Mets weren't relative, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this much. I was just in Joe Namath's golf outing yesterday, and with John Franco and some of the other ball players, Brett Saber and guys that are former Mets, and of course Jeff Nelson and some of the former Yankees. And it's the first time that all of us said the same thing. There's excitement in this city. This city's buzzing right now because the two teams and differently, the Mets are actually the better team right now, and have the more comfortable lead. That this is a big series, and it's sold out. People are looking forward to going to it, and it's the first time since 2000 that these two teams are relative in this late in September. And I think it's going to be a pretty exciting series this weekend.
Jim, how many rounds of golf have you played in the last 5 days?
Oh my God, boys! As much as I love golf, I got one more tournament on Monday. with John Starks, and then I finally can shut down till October. Any more rounds of golf? I played, in my tournament Monday in Evansville, Indiana. Victor Green's tournament the next day, Tuesday in Long Island. Then Thursday was Joe Namath yesterday, and then of course, like I said, Monday I've got another outing with John Starks. People keep going, "Oh, that means your golf game must be getting better." I'm like, no, it's best ball tournament, so I'm not really even able to work on my game to get much better. But I can't complain. It's all for charities. It's all for foundations. We're raising money for kids. It's to me, it's the best thing that I can give back, and you know what? I'm going to enjoy it as long as I can do it.
TheGreatestSave.org is the organization that Jim Leyritz puts his heart and soul into. TheGreatestSave.org. Check it out. Jim Leyritz, presented by Red Wing Shoes every week. Or just like the Yankees, excellence is a standard. Visit them at CliftonPark.RedWingShoeStore.com. They can fit your feet, your job, your hobby, and your wallet. Jimmy, have some fun in New York this weekend. We'll keep an eye on that Subway Series, baby.
All right, boys. Great talking to you again.